What's up, everybody? Real Estate Investing Made Easy. Spoon and Mr. Bradley Garcia here. We're approaching the new year, so we wanted to talk about something that's extremely important as your resolutions start getting written. I say forget about the resolutions and make it a lifestyle change in your business and outside of your business as you need to. But what we're really going to drill down to is exactly how to invest in real estate with all of the changes that are taking place in 2023. So this will be ostensibly a beginner's guide, but I'll tell you, if you're seasoned, you'll get value out of this too, because we're going to share some of the top tools and technology that we're leveraging and have been leveraging in our own real estate investment business, Lazarus Property Group, for several years now, and what we've continued to improve upon, the systems that we use in tandem with that. Now, what I mean by that is they'll teach you how to use their own software. Every software platform has their way of doing it, but we've taken that and we've made it better by implementing other systems, as I've had over a decade of real estate coaching, training, and curriculum design and development experience. And we're here to share all of what we've seen work for not just us, but our Done For You marketing clients and any of the other clients that we have touch points with. But I'm joined, of course, as I mentioned, by way of Zoom, Bradley Garcia. Why don't you make yourself a quick introduction, bud?
Yeah, thanks, Christian. Brad Garcia here with Lazarus Property Group and Real Estate Investing Made Easy, guys. I'm really excited to get on with Christian. Like he mentioned, we're going to be going through a lot of the systems that we use on a day-to-day basis to get deals, nurture leads, find deals, pull lists. I mean, you name it. And I think, even as a seasoned investor, you're going to get value out of this because, I mean, not everybody's perfect. We can always improve. We are. And so we'll be showing you what we use, not only for ourselves, but also for our Done For You marketing clients and the tools, tips, and tricks we use for them as well. So yeah, I'm really excited. Newbies, I mean, this is going to be super, super valuable for you. If you've just gotten started or about to start thinking about it, just trying to, find some, some information on how to, I do, Christian, as you know, do a lot of the consultation calls with people who are looking for marketing, and pretty much on every single one of those, unless they're a seasoned investor, and we're going to be going through REME marketing done for you. And I'm showing them the process and how we can help them do it themselves. I'm walking them step by step through our entire process anyway. So, really excited to show everybody what we got in store for them, and I'll let you take it away.
Awesome, man. Thanks. Yeah. And I'll tell you, as far as the tools, they're kind of lockstep with some systems that we developed to really make it easy, no pun intended, here at Real Estate Investing Made Easy, to just explain so that whether you're a beginner or whether you're seasoned, but you're looking to scale and you're looking to get over that hump, then these will really resonate with you. And it all starts obviously with data. Data is foundational. And, if you haven't heard it said, he who has the gold makes the rules, and data is the new gold. And as such, whoever's got it, they are going to get the deals and then rule their market, as it were. So as you continue to listen and follow along, just picture and imagine yourself doing what we speak about in this guide and implementing it at what we talk about in our video guide here, and realize that by doing so, you will become the king or queen of your market. So the first thing I need to say is where to start, right? Think of yourself not as being in the real estate business, but be in the business of marketing your real estate business. Because as you probably know, it's not enough just to have any old list and send it out as marketing and then expect success, because real estate investing demands a steady stream of highly motivated sellers that if you're just doing the throw it out there and see what sticks, it's not going to really help. You won't get consistency with that. And it only happens with the right tools and the right knowledge of how to use those tools. So you need to find and market to and follow up with all of these leads along the way. And that's when it truly becomes scalable. I guess simply put, it needs to be made easy.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to make a point to that too, that, anybody worth their salt will tell you, if you are trying to convince somebody to sell, you're wasting your time. You need to be spending all of your time, either if you're a solopreneur, finding prospects or leads who are motivated to sell, or talking with motivated sellers. You're not in the business of convincing them. And so that's what we're going to be helping you with today.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's in the, how are you going to actually, once you know a qualified prospect is now becomes a lead, what are you going to do in that situation? Obviously, when it comes to things like what you just said, private money lenders, people say, how can I convince somebody to lend money to me? Well, the answer is you can't, unless you want to really set yourself up for failure, or at least a lot of headaches along the way. You could convince somebody to lend you money, but rather than, and I don't want to really say it's like the movie Inception, but at the end of the day, right, in that movie, people wake up and they have the idea. That's sort of what I'm saying, is you want the idea to be theirs. In other words, the seller needs to actually want to sell. It has to be their idea. You're not going to convince them to sell. Okay. You're just going to say, oh, you do want to sell. Okay, well, we're a real estate solutions company. That's actually what we do. We buy two different ways. Either we make our all cash offer, or we'll buy on terms to be flexible and see what makes sense for you. Right. So in order to scale that, right, I mentioned it needs to be made easy, and it has to be made easy enough that each aspect of your business can be outsourced to other individuals and teams so that you can truly have a business that thrives without you. So we've done that, and we're going to uncover how to replicate that scale in this video. So prior to revealing that system to market, to follow up leads, and we'll discuss how to find and generate those leads. But first, we need to talk about the 3 gears of optimized real estate marketing lists. And as we do, we'll highlight the must implement tools that, in tandem with the 2 components of a powerful marketing engine, will generate highly motivated seller leads to scale. So the 3 gears of optimized real estate marketing list. Christian, what the heck are you talking about, dude? Well, let me share with this with you. It's data management machine is what we're going to call it. It's curating accurate property data, managing duplicate data, and extracting accurate contact data. So at the end of the day, what we'll use for this is, it's first curating property data. There are so many list sources out there. In fact, one of the list sources out there is called List Source, appropriately named, but I wouldn't recommend that. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to recommend, and I'll show it to you here on the screen as well. There's PropStream. I wouldn't recommend PropStream either. And there's a whole lot of other ones out there that claim to be good. Well, I'll tell you, when you try and add multiple components to a machine that in the beginning was intended to do one thing, it gets clunky, like CRMs and all the other stuff that actually we're going to talk about. But what we really have been using, tried and true, after split testing the same search criteria, sets ostensibly within one platform to the other, has been PropertyRadar. It's come to the top. It stood out, and I'll show it to you right now. That's one we're going to go into, so don't look ahead. So PropertyRadar is really one of the best data curation platforms on the planet. It has over, I believe it's almost 250 now data points. And I mean, everybody knows that it's critical when you need it to be accurate. It's up to date. The platform has been proven to provide this, and it dynamically updates these with trends for these 250 data points. Like, there's quick niche lists that I really, really like, which encompasses all of these. So if I said, I really want to pull a foreclosure list, cross-checked with an NOD list, there's actually one click of a button. And I might as well just show that to you, what I'm talking about. And this is really powerful because it saves a lot of time when you're going to pull lists. So this quick list right here, if I said, okay, all of San Diego County, first off, you have to always put in a location. So San Diego County it is. I want to know all the foreclosures in this area. Quick list, investor, all foreclosures. Add to criteria. How many buttons did I click? 4. So when we talk about what the purpose of this video is, that is a beginner's guide to getting involved in real estate investing, leveraging technology to make it easier. I don't know what could be easier than that. How many buttons, how many clicks? That was just a couple. So here's your list of 1,166 active foreclosures. And of course, if you wanted to trim where geographically you wanted to target. You say you don't want to go to this area called Borrego Springs. Then you have this feature here where you can just draw a shape that you'd wish to draw. We'll cut out the further east counties, and then we'll just go here. And you can get as niche as you want. You can go zoom all the way in. And a cool way to see this type of data that we're able to see in a way that from a 5,000 foot overview gives us a health check, if you will, on the market is by looking at a heat map. And you can look at that heat map by going to explore, and you see it'll give you parcel areas shaded by the type and property, right? You can add these. But at the end of the day, even if you didn't do that, when we click here, it'll default and it'll share with you what it looks like here. So you see the red areas, industrial, these are property types, right? You can also change it for the value or the flood risk or any of these. So if that was your niche, if you said, I just want to know where those flood risk, right, the high flood risk you're looking for is magenta. I think it might be magenta. Is that the color, Brad? Does that look like magenta to you?
You know, I'm colorblind, so
That is
it looks like
fair.
it.
I did not know that.
I'm a little
I did
colorblind.
not
Yeah.
know that. Wow.
Well,
all right. Well, check it out. So there you go. So apparently, there's minimal or undetermined over there. But I mean, even if that wasn't your niche, right, you could even go with estimated value just to get a pulse on what the market looks like and what the market feels like. And I know there's a lot of these numbers in the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of this right here and show you the heat map without all those bubbles in the way. So obviously red's your 2 million plus, and boy, in San Diego and Sanitas area, that's no surprise. Down here in Chula Vista, you see 500 and 750,000. So this tool to leverage getting into real estate will not only help you pull lists, but it also helps you get to know your market. Now, here's the deal. In the chat, right? If you're live right now, tell me what market you want to know more about, and we'll run with it. For you, Brad, tell me what market. You can just shoot out any old market and say, hey, I don't know this market, and I'll look it up and we'll find out whatever we want to know. So I'll show you how easy it is even in a market you don't know.
Yeah, let's go to, I mean, we're in Florida. I think a new spot that we are going to be looking at is Fort Myers. So why don't we check out Fort Myers?
I'm not saying it was only 3 clicks, but I did only put FT space M. So that was about 4, and then it came up. So just talking about how easy it
Ease
can
of
be,
use.
right?
Yeah, ease of use looks really, really easy.
Yeah. So Fort Myers, where we're looking right now, remember, go to Explore and you'll see what the heat map is. This is your legend, if you will. So when you look here, you'll see the estimated value up here by, I'm not going to try to pronounce that river. It's higher valued. And the more you go south, it looks like there's some more higher values, but that's outside of Fort Myers itself. So where are we standing? What do we know right now? Now, notwithstanding the fact that there was recently a terrible disaster in a hurricane in this area, what are the colors, knowing that we're selected here on the heat map estimated value? What does it tell you?
Yeah, it looks like we're in a pretty lower price market. I mean, compared to San Diego, anything from the $500,000 price point on down. I mean, if I'm reading the colors correctly.
Yeah.
For the most part, except for the ones on the water there,
you did say you were colorblind, so I mean, there's that, right?
Yep.
But this one to me looks a little bit more like the $250,000 to $500,000 range. While of course, as you go closer here, we have those red areas, which are $2 million plus. Now, here's the deal. Some of these could be industrial, some of them could be commercial, some of them could be multifamily and all that. We're not looking at just single family, but you can. So I wanted to bring this to your attention. If you watching did not know about PropertyRadar, it blows out of the water things like PropStream and others that I don't even want to name. And here's the deal. A lot of gurus will pimp them out, PropertyRadar, PropStream and other things, because they have an affiliate income. And I don't think there's anything wrong with affiliates. We have affiliates, but we'll only recommend what we actually use and what we're getting results with. Property Radar doesn't even have an affiliate program, but I absolutely recommend you use them over any of the other ones that we could recommend and then make money off of it. 20 bucks here, 20 bucks there. But the truth is, this is what we use in our office for all of our done for you marketing clients, for all of our markets that we invest in, including a lot of markets in Florida, not yet Fort Myers, but soon to be. So really good one. Really good one. All right. You know what? I've been doing a lot of talking. Brad, I'm gonna T-ball it to you, man. Then what's the next one for us in our chain of let's make this real estate investing easy, leveraging technology?
Well, before we move past this, I did want to see, because like we're talking hopefully to a lot of newer guys, a lot of people who are going to be newer to the investing space. And I was kind of hoping, like, if I was a newer person watching this live stream right now or the replay later on, comment down below if you're watching live or if it's a replay. I would want to know, and what I've seen when I'm talking to guys who are brand new and looking for marketing sources or trying to outsource their marketing, or, just wanting to get on with me to talk about how to market, they are wanting to know what we're looking for, what we're targeting, what we're using to do that, and how easy it is to do that. Is there any way you could show us real quick how to pull a list and what we target with Property Radar, and then we can kind of pop on into the next spot?
Yeah, how we actually pull a list. That's really good. So let's get to that then. So
yeah, because they're going to be, as far as I know, right? I mean, the newer people, they're going to want to, be able to, if you're brand new and you need to be able to start talking to off-market sellers, that's the first step they're going to need to do. Am I correct there?
they're going to have to pull a data. Yeah,
Yeah.
a data set for sure. So I got a cough drop in because just getting over a cold. So
No
anyway,
worries.
there's a couple lists that we actually do need to pull. So let me check that out, because I don't, I'm going to actually pull. I'm just going to go through the process and pull the list. And it's a
Sounds
really
great.
good point. Yeah, to do
Yeah.
that. So I'm looking right now because our
And these are
team.
for our marketing or for our clients?
No, we're all caught up on our clients, all of them actually, which is great because because there's a lot of lists to have to pull. But
If I could, I would pat your back.
yeah, I know, it's a lot of work. Here's the deal. I talked about outsourcing all the stuff. The reason why we didn't fully outsource the list pull is because there is a methodology to it that, and this is why I'm really glad that Brad brought this up and said, hey, let's just show them, because, it becomes second nature if you've done this over and over again. Like personally, I have since 2009 using Foreclosure Radar, which eventually became Property Radar, to do this stuff, but it's not second nature. And sometimes it's easy to forget that. So I'm going to go up to the need lists section. Give me a second. Okay.
There's very few people at your level, Christian. Just remember that. We're all looking up.
That's actually true. And interestingly enough, it wasn't always that way. I wasn't born knowing how to do any of this stuff. So, and I started off,
put in the time.
Dude, I started off and I was like, man, I don't know any of this stuff. And I was at Fortune Builders and shadowing Paul, Than, Conrad, JD. And it was like, dude, these guys are geniuses and they know everything.
Yeah, man.
And they
Just
still
gleaning information. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And they still are, by the way. I don't know that I've gotten to that level yet, but maybe I have. As far as knowledge is concerned anyway, but they've certainly expanded. So they're doing syndications and everything now. Okay, so I've got the list that I'm going to pull. I know what I'm going to pull.
Nice. All right. Let's do it.
We are going to go to Indiana.
All right. You are not sharing your screen anymore, just so you know, for us. Okay.
Thank you. Because I was going through the chat that we had Indianapolis, Indiana. All right, now I should be sharing my screen. And not only that, I'm sharing me too. Oh, it's this way. That's weird.
Ta-da!
Let me just change
that. Hey, guys, for anybody watching, whether or not it's a replay or the live, because we're monitoring this. Put your number one question. If you're starting out, or if you guys are not new, you guys are seasoned investors, what is your biggest hurdle or the biggest question you have when polling lists? Is it type of property or type of owner to go after? How to stack criteria? What is it that you guys are really wanting to know? And hopefully we can get that answer for you.
Yeah, we'll definitely answer it. We keep pretty on top of the channel and all of the comments that come through. So in Indianapolis, we're looking for rentals. This is one of the markets that we are searching for rentals in. And we like to do creative stuff. So as an example for somebody who's newer, that wouldn't necessarily be the best example, because then there's all the, okay, well, what is a wrap, right? And how do you search the data points, and what are the data points? So let's just keep it really, really simple and look for what we normally look for. The first place is location. And for me, I already am familiar with this area. So I'm going to turn off the heat map because I don't really need it on. Now we're going to go back to search. When I said 250 different criteria sets, I mean, it all starts right here in the big search panel or little search panel, which is great. But what we really wanted to look for, if you're starting in a brand new market, the lowest hanging fruit is ostensibly in an up market where they've owned it for a really long time, like absentee landlords who are potentially older, right? If they've owned a property for 30 years, they're at least 30 years old, right? We can guess that. Now, if you wanted to know like exactly how old they are, they actually have that. Obviously, we're not going to be recommending redlining or anything like that, right? But for other businesses, PropertyRadar works too. So if you're selling makeup products and you want to know how many women, right, ostensibly, I know, hey, sometimes I wear makeup on stage. Okay, I'll admit that to you. Keep it a secret. I used to be in one act play in theater, and I'd always wear makeup on stage. And then being in video production for so long, I'm not doing it now, but man, I'll put on some makeup on the camera. And if we're not talking about stage makeup, mostly we're looking at females who are going to be using makeup. So you can do it that way as a business owner who might have like L'Oreal or whatever the heck you're selling. There is a company that you can sell makeup as like an entrepreneur, and I think, it's Avon. I knew I'd get it. Avon, I believe, is what it is. Or if you're a bar, I mean, you could still search how many people are over 21. So there's reasons why this stuff is in there, and it's really helpful. But for our purpose, let's just say the lowest hanging fruit. You're in Indianapolis and you want to search a list. You want to figure out who you can market to, well, that ostensibly has motivation. And I said this is an up market, but you can also do it in a down market. It really doesn't matter. You can go here and go to the search function. And the first thing that I would do is go to ownership to know how long they've owned it, or sorry, transfer history is where it is, to know how long they've owned it, most recent change of ownership. And we could go, let's see, purchase date before. We'll add the criteria of before.
Where are we at? 1993? Does that work?
I mean, I like 1993. It was a good year. It was a good year. What year were you born? Don't say it.
3 years before that.
You're gonna make me feel.
I'll let them do the math.
Okay. What the heck is going on? Sorry, my aspect ratio is all messed up on my computer here. Let me here we go. You see me go back out like that? All right, here we go. So
it's normal to us, just so you know.
Oh, does it? All right. On my end, it was kind of wonky. So you said 1993. That would be the place to go. Let's go with June 1st of 1993. And this will be in anywhere in Indianapolis, properties that were purchased before 1993. So Indianapolis purchase date. Oh, sorry. I forgot to put before. Wow. How easy was that? No, I didn't even do it right. All right. Before 1993. And normally you can click the date up there and it'll show the actual year and the month, but something's funky on my computer right now. So I'm just going back and having fun doing it this way. All right, so let's go to June. Let's call it June 1st, 1993. Make sure before is highlighted, as you can see, and then update the criteria. So the purchase date is
All right.
before.
Nice. It's a good
So
starting point.
yeah, it's a great starting point. So now we know it's long-term ownership. Now here is where we can get into, are they tenant occupied? So is it owner occupied or tenant occupied, ostensibly? And I say that ostensibly because just because the owner doesn't live there doesn't mean it's actually occupied, right?
Mhm.
So we'll select no for rentals. So see how many rentals there are. 30,414 in Indianapolis. Okay. So how are we going to whittle this down? Because the truth is, what I like to do is I like to pull sets of 10, 20, 30, or 40,000, right? You could say this is 29, but what we need right now, you could say that's fine, but what we need right now is 10,000 or less. That's the list that we're going for in this
Get it
particular
down another
market.
20.
Yeah.
What about, what's better? What do you think is better? And you can answer for the people watching. High equity or low equity?
Yeah, let's talk about low hanging fruit. Motivation versus low hanging fruit. I mean, you could say that somebody who has motivation is also low hanging fruit. Like if they're in foreclosure and it's really bad, or even if they have low or no
Mhm.
equity and they need to, do a short sale or something like that.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
to keep it simple, and to answer your question, I think if you're going to go creative, the equity, how much equity doesn't necessarily matter. What matters more is their loan type, how long it's seasoned, if you're going to take it over a subject to or something like that, where
Mhm.
it's more seasoned and it's closer to the maturity date so that more of the money that's being paid to the bank is going to the principal and paying it down rather than in the
Mhm.
first 10 years ostensibly of a loan, it's going to pay a big portion of interest because the bank's going to get their interest first. So
Mhm.
it depends on your exit strategy. For us, I mean, buy and hold is fine as long as we have, the numbers all work out with the debt that we need to service if we're doing it subject to buy and hold, right? Or even seller financing. Seller financing, obviously, they need to have equity. Otherwise, it's not worth it. You're not going to, there's no number you could pay them on, a dollar of equity percentage wise that's going to make any difference in the sale of their property. But if they own it free and
Mhm.
clear, and you're going for opportunities you could potentially seller finance, well, then you're not going to go for negative equity because there's no equity to seller finance. Right.
Mhm. Sure.
So,
So
yeah,
what you're saying is you want to have an idea of what your exit strategy is, or what you as an investor are capable of employing as an exit strategy while you're pulling data so that you can pull good data that's going to get you closer to the end result that you're looking for. Is that what I'm
yeah,
hearing?
that's a really, really good point. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Make sure you go in with the end, begin with the end in mind when it comes to pulling data.
Got it. Okay, good.
Start with where you
Cool.
want to end, knowing that that's where you're going to end up. So what we're looking for are people who are ostensibly motivated to sell their house because they've owned it for a long time and they're willing to let go of it. Here's a really great feature that I like about Property Radar, and that is going back to owner, the ownership type. If you didn't want to target, if you just wanted to target individuals, you could target individuals. You can remove corporate owned if they're couples or multiple owners. Now, we're not really worried about if there's multiple owners or not. If they want to sell and they're in agreement of selling, then great. If they're not in agreement of selling, then great. We're going to either disqualify or qualify these leads quickly. So it doesn't really
Mhm.
matter. But for somebody who's getting started, they may say, well, I'm comfortable only dealing with somebody who's just one person on title. You can do that. You can deselect
Right.
multiple owners or couple, and it'll just be individuals. I'm removing corporate because I don't want any properties necessarily that are owned by an LLC in this, just to whittle it down. But what I do want to do, and that whittles it down significantly, as you can see that from 29 to
Yeah.
13. So
Much
this,
closer.
yeah, we're a lot closer to the 10,000 mark that I wanted. And there's a lot of other creative ways that you can get super niche with tax information, the mortgage information, transaction history, and owner details. And I mean, for obviously we saw NOD, foreclosure, trustee sale, auctions, vacant owners, like low equity, as Brad mentioned, versus high equity. And then what we're kind of targeting is absentee owners. There's also bankruptcy, information, transfer history, and all that stuff that you can stack multiple levels of motivation ostensibly for these lists to curate really niche data, because we've discovered this tool has been proven to have everything that we've needed, and I haven't needed to go anywhere else to find and curate those niche data sets, right? So anyway,
Yeah.
we're at 13,120, and we're going to go to search something else, back to owner actually.
Should we try to get down a little farther? We're going to try to get it down right at that 10,000 person mark.
Yep. So I want to know, I want to see what happens when I say, you know what, I want to do ostensibly portfolio sales. I want to buy multiple from one person. This is a pretty big hack when it comes to, especially if you include LLCs or if you include corporate owned, because a lot of savvy investors might have owned these properties for a really long time and be ready to sell. And they're savvy enough to know, hey, I should put all these in some sort of entity, hence the corporate owned. But I'm going to see if there's a minimum of 3 properties each that they own. Where are we at? 7,294.
Nice.
Well, there you go. So we know that at least one of these are going to be, you know, something potentially that they want to get rid of. The more properties they own, the longer they've owned those properties, the more likely it is they're in that baby boomer generation where they're just getting ready to retire and they want to liquidate. You know, they don't want to be a landlord anymore, especially if it's not corporate owned. You find a lot of this person, this avatar, all 7,294 of them. This is the type of person who is the mom and pop that knows real estate is the best way to get generational wealth, but they didn't necessarily go and hire a property management company. There's a lot that could be managed by a property management company on this list, but as we've pulled this basically exact avatar before in other markets and this market, we've discovered that a lot of them are like, yeah, I'm self-managing and I'm tired of self-managing it. This is what we call tired landlords. So this is how you would find tired landlords. So they each own 3.
Awesome.
So to pull a list, it's pretty easy. I always go to the export file. What I really do is I copy criteria, because what's really cool about this, and I'm glad we're doing this because I wanted to share this Go Radar link. If you copy this link, it doesn't matter where you pop it in, it'll go right back to this criteria set exactly as it was.
Nice.
It
So
really
you won't
helps
have to search everything again. It'll just pull that data set right back up. Great.
Yep. So I'll do that, and then I just export to file. Now you could save dynamic lists and have these update, and you could check the health of each market that you're in to have static lists or dynamic lists. But for the pulling data and niche data conversation, let's just end it here after pulling this list, and we'll move on to the next one, which is going to be, how are we going to get the phone numbers and extract the information, whether it's phone numbers for cell phones for texting, or whether it's for cold calling, whether it's landline or cell phone, and whether it's email campaigns that we're going to run for Facebook or for whatever, right?
Yeah.
We just go here. Now, I mentioned skip tracing. So as I do this, notice that we can actually, I don't know if you saw that. Let me go back here and then share the other options with you. So I'll export this to the file, but you can go, I do direct mail, the preset for that, but voice, you have the option to get this skip traced through PropertyRadar. Now, their skip tracing isn't terrible. It's really not, and it's not expensive at all. It's actually fairly good, but why would we go and promote somebody else? I'll tell you why after we pull this list.
There's got to be some reason. I'm very curious.
There is a reason. So I'm going to purchase
maybe
this.
In the name. You think it's in the name of the skip tracing service we use?
You know what? I think it is. And I think that anybody who's looking at the other tab on my browser would probably be able to see what it is. There's no secrets here, man. We're not pulling any punches or pulling any stops out. This is just a tell-all, if you will. So I'll save this and then we'll get into it. But while I'm saving this list and putting it where it needs to go on my desktop, why don't you tell them a little bit about what the skip tracing service it is that we use and why we use it?
Well, if you were slow and you didn't look at the middle tab up there on Christian's screen, we use something called Best Skip Tracer. And why? It is the best skip tracing service we have found for a lot of different reasons. Okay. For our done for you clients and for our service investment company as well, we are doing primarily about 95 to 99% of our marketing is done through text message marketing. What we found is that the deliverability rate of the cell numbers, the wireless numbers that we're getting from Best Skip Tracer, is much higher, sometimes 10, even 20% higher than some of the other skip tracing services we've used. We also are getting that at a much lower rate than a lot of the other skip tracing services we use. And it's all based off a very, very inexpensive $97 a month for that service. You're getting about 8 cents per record. And for that, I think we're hitting about 92, 93% deliverability across the board on those wireless numbers. So really, really great service. And I'm sure Christian's got some other reasons why, but that one just comes top of mind.
Well, the hit rate is actually higher than that. It's more like a 98% hit rate for what we're searching for when we skip trace, right? It's not always just the texting. We get 70 to 80% textable prospects, but in general, the hit rate for whether it's a mobile, whether it's an actual landline number that we'll cold call, because we do cold calling too for our clients and for our own business across the country, it's high. It's very, very high, higher than I've seen anywhere else consistently. And it is less expensive. So I talked about promotions and all this stuff where PropertyRadar, it's just good. They don't have an affiliate link. It's not a big deal. I'm going to promote them anyway. We do have and I'll tell you more about why we really like it. We do have an affiliate link with Best Skip Tracer. And what's great about it, and it'll be linked in the description below, is you're going to get $50 towards whatever skip for your first month. So ostensibly you'll get your first month half off, which is great because
Nice.
that's how many skips can you skip at 8 cents a record for that? So it's a lot. And if you go with the lower price point package, it'll be half off of that, right? So it's half whatever you sign up with. We found it's worth signing up with the higher valued one. If you look at the pricing here, and if you didn't want to, by the way, if you're still with us and you're like, hey, this sounds good, but let me just tell you, batch, when it comes to promoting batch skip tracing services, they're so much more expensive. Their free membership here at Best Skip Tracer is what you would get if you paid a subscription to batch. I think it's even cheaper than that. So
yeah, and you're not getting this quality of a product. Yeah.
And it's way higher quality as far as the skips are concerned. Premium membership is $9 a month and it's 12, right? Which is insane. We definitely use the 8 cents a lead for 97 because we're skipping a lot for our clients and a lot for our own business. And we're to the tune of hundreds of thousands of records a month. So of course it's worth it when we go to 8 cents a lead, right? To skip that. Oh, and by the way, you only pay for what actually gets skipped. You don't just pay for, if you upload 100,000 and it's a 98% hit rate, right? You're only getting charged for the 98,000 that came back that they actually skipped. So you're not paying for that. So, I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are great. Yeah, at the end of the day, this is going to take your list, no matter where you get your list from. So you might be asking, Christian, if I have data from another provider, like, should I just scrap it? No, don't scrap it. Make the best of the data that you do have with whatever service provider that you're using, whether it's PropStream or whether it's PropertyRadar or whether it's whatever, and put it into Best Skip Tracer and get the most out of it so that you can really approach marketing the way that you should, which is from multiple angles. And that's something that we'll talk about and have talked about in other videos that will be linked in the description. The top marketing methods that are free as a real estate investor, it'll be linked. And then the top paid marketing methods that are going to be linked. And those are two separate conversations that Chris and I have had about how to market successfully right now, leveraging some of the tools that we're talking about right now, but not all of them. So there's a lot more. This is just what is, if you're new or if you're beginning, or even if you're ready to scale, what tools can help you scale faster, these are the tools to use. So
Yeah.
the next
And a
one,
point,
yeah,
can I
go
make
ahead.
a
Sorry,
point
brother.
before you move on there? No worries, no worries. So one point, guys, that Christian was kind of alluding to, and I really want to drive home on that, on the fact that don't get rid of the data that you have. Make the best of it by putting it through Best Skip Tracer. I actually had a meeting earlier today for our marketing, and I was kind of just doing a little evaluation of her process that she has now. She's using another service I won't mention, that it was getting her like 1,000 leads a month, and she was able to do text campaigns through that. They was doing the skip tracing as well. And I was like, you know what? That sounds like really great, but what is your deliverability rate? I kind of wanted to take a look at some of her KPIs that she actually was tracking, which I was impressed with. Side note, always track your KPIs, guys, no matter what. Back to that, she was getting about a 77% deliverability rate. I was like, the reason why you want a skip tracing service that's going to get you such a high hit rate is because if you're spending the time and effort and money to get these lists, to then skip trace them with a subpar skip tracing service, you're wasting your money and your resources, to not be able to reach those people in that delta of that 15 to 20%, where you're just not able to even get in touch with them. So just wanted to
17
make
for
that a point.
77, bro. That's ouch.
Yeah. Yep.
Ouch, man. Well,
Yep. So we're going to take her marketing over in January after she gets her VA's notice.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, speaking of that, so there's a couple things in one ancillary tool that's really not a part of this that I haven't mentioned is it's going to be your cold calling, what you're using. Now we're using for cold calling what was formerly known as what was the previous name of it, man? It was widely popular. The
Hmm.
name of what it used to be, what Ready Mode used to be. It's called Ready Mode now, but it was something
Got it.
else. Whatever it is, we're using Ready Mode now, and it's awesome to cold call because we talked about 70 or 80% textable prospects that we get, but what about the other 20 to 30% that we can't text? Again, it also comes when you use Best Skip Tracer with emails as well. So we'll use those for Facebook ad retargeting campaigns and stuff like that. But again, this is for what is the easiest, quickest way to the dollar getting started. And this is the most scalable because Facebook changes the way that you're allowed to, as a business, market on their platform constantly.
Right.
It's not as scalable. You can't just one and done plug and play. So
Right.
these are methods that are so much easier because there's not much to it to change. Even though you may say, and we're going to talk about this next, text messaging, you may say, well, what about 10DLC-A2P? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's just regulation from carriers that is now giving us legal requirements for what we have to do and how we operate in the sphere of the low cost, high ROI marketing method of text message marketing. And well, according to the TCPA, it's both text and phone because it's anything phone related. So how do you interact with these businesses that facilitate the marketing, and how do you as a business have to act while you're reaching out to prospects? Well, we handle all of that. I mean, Brad just talked about a client that we have, another one that we signed up today that we're taking over their marketing, so you don't have to worry about that. But I'll tell you, it's a lot easier for us to do this when we're talking about text message marketing using what we use, and that's Launch Control. Launch Control stands alone as the best text message marketing platform for us and for our done for you marketing clients, and it's given us one of the lowest the highest ROIs, lowest cost per lead that we've ever seen.
Mm.
And that's in tandem, or that's not in tandem with all the other ways that we're doing it. We've seen cost per leads range from 20 something dollars a lead to 50 or $60 a cost per lead. In some tougher markets, we see it go up just a little bit, but it doesn't matter if it was a $500 cost per lead. Doesn't matter if it was a $2,000 cost per lead. What matters more is the ROI, right? And how do you get an ROI more quickly, especially when you're getting started, is you have to do this with speed. Speed is the name of the game. Speed to lead. I'm sure you've heard that before. So when we talk about text message marketing, everybody has their phone, right? So this would be the best marketing method to start with. And it's something that you're going to get a qualification or a disqualification faster than you would if you were doing direct mail, for example. In fact, that's what I started with in my career, direct mail. And I got some really good deals from direct mail. And I still think direct mail is valid, but onward and upward with texting. Why launch control? Why text message marketing? I think ultimately it's because 98% of all texts that are sent are read. I mean, and they're read within the first 3 seconds. 3 seconds.
Everybody's got their phone on them. Yeah.
That's crazy. So
well, you talk about people who are just starting, right? You know, what's the best way to get a quick response, you know, and, you know, are you going to be calling? Are you going to be spending your time as a solopreneur, you know, making the calls, going through the cold calling process, or would you rather spend your time sending out texts, getting responses to those texts, and knowing right away whether or not you're dealing with somebody who wants to sell or isn't interested? Because you'll know they'll tell you to F off, or to, you know, let you know like, hey, yeah, we have been thinking about it. You know, what's your offer? And then you can get on the phone with them. So you're talking about speed to lead and ROI.
Yeah.
Text's the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is what the platform looks like. We do also have an affiliate link for launch control. And why is it beneficial for you to sign up? Here's the deal. We'll give you our Kickstarter templates for free. And we can also get you on a strategy session to teach you how to use this as best as possible. Now, here's the deal. They have trainings actually where they'll show you how to use the platform. What they don't do is they don't show you how to use it the way that we use it to get the results that we get. They don't talk about the data and where to get it and how to skip it. They don't talk about where to get the lists that you're going to eventually skip to, and how to, you know, stack multiple levels of motivation to select custom curated lists. Now, all that being said, when it comes to the messaging, that's another thing that gets tricky because yes, I mentioned that it's static and not a lot of things change. What does change are dynamically are the carriers and what keywords they flag as negative keywords. And sure, it might be easy to identify the negative keywords, especially with something that launch control calls spinner tokens. And by the way, we have extensive trainings on launch control. So this is not going to be an in-depth training about launch control. You can click the link in the description to a playlist. There's also a very recent review that I did updating it. In fact, what it's titled is this the death of launch control? And you might be wondering why the heck, if that is a question I would even ask, we would be talking about this right now. That's because of what I'm going to share with you right now. And that is the prices, these big price tags, especially the Pro on the right-hand side, which we have 3 accounts personally of our own, is $14.97 a month. What you'll notice about other text platforms is they'll give you a shiny price tag of $3.97 a month, but that doesn't include any of the texts. And usually they'll charge 1.7, 2 cents or more per text. So if you're doing it the volume that we're doing it, which we do send 50,000 outbound messages, maxing out these accounts for the $14.97 every single month, it's going to be over $3,000 for the same amount of money. If you send, let's say you have 100% deliverability rate, which you can get pretty dang close to actually, if you skip with best skip tracer and you use launch control and you use our Kickstarter templates to get you set up, because your messaging actually matters. And that's why we say when you use our link, we're going to give you that to make sure that you're using at the highest level. But you're going to be spending, if you send out 50,000 messages and you just respond to them once, another 2 cents per message on the other platform. And then if even half of them continue a conversation, and then you send out more messages, you're going to spend over $3,000, not including the actual monthly subscription. And I break down that math as an example, and it is a real life example in that video, is the death of launch control. But that's one of the reasons we use it, specifically launch control, is because there's no hidden costs, no hidden fees. It's not like, oh, $3.97, and then you want to send text messages and then you get a bill for $2,000, $3,000. And you're wondering, how did this even happen? Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've talked with so many people. Yeah. I've talked with so many people when I'm on these calls, these consultations about that, you know, switching over from other carriers. that and you know, either that they didn't realize it was going to be so expensive, or their account got suspended because of the TCPA noncompliance. Launch Control is one of the only, if not the only, company that is TCPA compliant and allows you to be able to send those messages without having your account suspended or flagged. All of your data, all of your conversations gone, having to start over from scratch. I've heard it more than one time before. It's definitely a problem. But guys, if you're watching this and you're using Launch Control, because this is something that does get brought up, put down in the comments your biggest hurdle in using it, whether or not it's just the use of the actual back end of the system, or if it's creating templates around the negative keywords. Because Christian, I just met with Dan. Dan's one of our guys that, you know, is working on the back end using Launch Control daily. And he was kind of, you know, walking me through some of the stuff, and went over a lot of the stricter standards Launch Control now has. So guys, if you're thinking about using Launch Control, or you're using it and you're finding it's really difficult to create templates or drip automations or follow-up sequences or categorized quick replies so that you're not having to think of responses every single time somebody texts you back, put that in the comments. And better yet, if you'd like, we do actually help do-it-yourselfers, you know, solopreneurs build out. We actually clone our Launch Control platform for you so that you can do it yourself. If that's something you want to learn more about, schedule some time with me on the calendar. You know, just let us know in the comments what kind of your biggest hurdle is in using this program. We're really interested to hear.
Yeah, really good point. And I got ahead of myself. We're talking about marketing, and I get excited when it comes to text message marketing and cold calling and making sure the data is really good. And I had mentioned that this is all part of your marketing machine. Okay. And we all know that marketing is the engine that drives every business, just like a vehicle, right? There's a lot of complex moving parts, and some marketing engines are more powerful than others. And it's not always true that it's a simple machine. It's always due to multiple factors, right? So how do you build a powerful marketing machine? Well, you first need to understand that simplicity equals scalability and complexity complicates. So what we're trying to do is distill it down into the most simple thing to actually build upon and scale, where even at day one, it looks very similar, just bigger on day 10,000. Whatever that is for you in your business scale, whatever that looks like. And that's not to say that you can't ever scale a complex marketing machine. It's just more complex, which almost always means it's costlier and slower.
Christian, if I'm a new investor, I think one of my questions is going to be, do I need all of this? Is this something that I'm going to have to, just if I'm doing it myself, do I need all this stuff that we're talking about right now?
I'd say the bare bones that you would need is PropertyRadar and Best Skip Tracer, and at least a text message marketing platform that there's only one other one that I would very hesitantly recommend to you. And if you watch that video that I put together and I called out for, linked in the description, about is this the death of Launch Control, is the only other one that I would recommend. The truth is, do you need all of this? Technically speaking, you don't need any of it. All you need is somebody that says, I want to sell my property. But how much longer will it take you to find that person? Are you going to walk door to door? You can do that. Has it worked before? I'm sure there's an example somewhere out there where somebody said, I have the knowledge, so I don't need any of the tools. But obviously, we're talking about leveraging technology in this particular training. So if you didn't want to leverage technology, or if you didn't, you know, if you looked at this and you said, man, this is super expensive, start at the 497 level of Launch Control, right? Get 10,000 out. How long will it take you to walk 10,000 doors? Or how much more expensive would it be at, 50 cents a postcard to $1 or $1.20 for the hand penned postcards for 10,000 outbound?
Yeah.
How much would that cost? Let's just round and say it was $1 for 10,000 messages, not even having a response, not communicating with them. That's going to be 10 grand for that same list. So this is by far your cheaper option. So I would say, I would say if you aren't in a position to work up to getting this as a base system, right? I said simplicity equals scalability and complexity complicates. Make it as simple as budgeting and making it a goal to get to whatever dollar amount that is that you are comfortable with quarter over quarter, not monthly. Because marketing, you need to continue this thing. So when we take a marketing client on, by the way, this is very germane to what you ask. Do they need this? We'll make sure that they are able to, as far as their input, go either 3, 6, or 12. And we really try to steer them away from the 3, because 6 months to a year in any campaign will start yielding better results. And better is actually up for debate, right? If you're like, man, I just want one deal a month, can you get that? Yes, you can. But depending on where you are and what market you're investing in, one deal a month might not be enough, right? Even if in your market you say, well, I just want a wholesale deal. Okay, cool. So one wholesale deal in Indianapolis, Indiana can be $5,000. Okay. I'm telling you this from knowing that. And then one wholesale deal in San Diego could be $35,000, right? $5,000 a month, even if you're doing one a month, might not be enough for you. It's not much. It's not enough for a lot of people, especially with rising costs. So think about how much longer that would take you if you were trying to do that from the door knocking perspective or the direct mail, how much more expensive that would be. And it would also take longer. This is instant. So I never want to tell anybody this is what they need. I never even want to tell somebody that this is what they want. What I want to do is show you, here's the result that you can get because it's proven if you do this. So if you desire that result, these are the things that it takes to get it.
So basically what I'm hearing is you need a high volume, just like in any sales, metrics are going to dictate how many sales you get. So you start backwards, it's going to take, say, 100 contacts to get one meeting, and it's going to take 5 meetings to get one deal. So from that, working backwards, you're going to need 500 calls to get 5 meetings to get one deal.
Yeah.
Right. And the best way to do that is efficiently is a program or programs like this. So you're not having to drive around, drive for dollars, or, send out a bunch of postcards that cost a bunch of money.
Yeah. And there's a hierarchy of marketing that I would recommend. And I've given those recommendations, and we'll link these videos in the description below as they're available. We might have posted some of them. And that is the free marketing methods and then the paid marketing methods. We talk about everything from TV ads to radio ads to bus stop signs to the big billboards on the highway to direct mail to leaving a business card, somewhere at a chain, a pizza shop, like everything that you could possibly think of, ranking it in cost and ROI from what we've seen based off of what we've done, right? We haven't done every single marketing method that exists because there's probably many that I didn't mention, but when you say, is this what you need? Well, just look at the result that you want to create, right? And here's the other side of the coin.
Right.
Can you be successful with other methods? Yes, but remember, other methods are a lot more complex, which almost always means it's more costly and slower. And a case in point is an investor we fulfill marketing for saw 600 deals the year before we brought them on as a client. And that's great, but he spent over $25,000 rebuilding his CRM to scale with his growth. Okay. So the lesson here is that you need to begin with your journey of real estate investing with an uncomplicated system that will scale. I guess simply put, it needs to be made easy, like real estate investing made easy. Yeah.
Love it.
I did that on purpose. You couldn't tell?
Yeah, of course. I saw it coming around. I knew.
Yeah. And really, that's exactly what we've done. And what we're going to continue to uncover, that now that we've revealed how to source and create highly targeted, motivated seller lists, sharing the 2 components of a powerful marketing engine really is next. So, and as we do highlight, all these tools that in tandem with the 3 gears of optimized real estate marketing list, this will generate highly motivated seller leads so that you can scale more quickly than any other method. And that's why we're sharing this. Just know that all of the other things you could do, you can do. You can still do that. You can still send postcards. You can still door knock. You can even do that in addition to this. But it doesn't take much time to rapidly click a button with a list. The skipping's done for you in the background. You saw the quick lists in PropertyRadar. That didn't take me long at all. I literally, within 4 clicks of being in the platform of PropertyRadar, searched San Diego County, and I clicked quick list, investor, foreclosure. Okay. So it's
Can't get easier
faster.
than that.
Which remember when I said that, like, you need a system that at its most basic level, when you first get started, still looks about the same, except just bigger, right? On the 10,000th day. And that's what we're talking about here. So just calling back to the question, do they need this? It really is a good question, but I agree with your TCPA compliance. And I'll tell you one thing that I wanted to mention. Now getting back onto text message marketing, launch control is not the only TCPA compliant. There's one other one that I mentioned in that video, the death of launch control. But they give you local phone numbers. It's easy to track the KPIs. Now we track things a little bit differently. So we have our own custom tracker. So one of the benefits of, getting on with us and talking through, helping you get set up is, we'll show you how you can get the KPI tracker that we use. They also have the highest deliverability rate, even, on par, but above the other one that I would recommend, the only other one that I would recommend. And they're really easy to use for the whole point of what I've been saying, scale. So it's the lowest cost per lead. So with that marketing machine, you need really 2 specific things: high ROI with efficiency. This can get you a high ROI with efficiency. And then you need follow-up automation because, like Chris Deal says, leads are like fish. The longer they sit, the more they stink.
So true.
So we'll move on to the how you get the automated follow-up here in a second. But was there anything else you wanted to add about text marketing and launch control?
Nothing that nope. I think we definitely covered that. Texting is going to get you, again, just to put it as succinctly as possible, you can do whatever you want, but texting is going to give you the lowest cost per lead, not prospect, lead. I think that sums up everything that we wanted to say about it pretty succinctly.
What's a lead though? Define a lead real quick, because
it's not.
That is
very true. Very, very true. I was actually going to bring it up earlier, but a lead is not the people that are in your list that you're pulling. Those are prospects. Okay. So if you think about it, mining, the prospecting is going through the cold calling, the texting, trying to find the gold nugget. The closer is talking to an actual lead. Once it comes and is a gold nugget, now we're refining it. That is the lead, somebody who is ready to sell either now or in the near future. And that means they have motivation, that has a reasonable expectation of value, and bonus points if they can get you condition through the texting, but that's not a requirement for our done for you marketing. We're going to get you. So basically that, and I always ask most of the time when I'm on consultation calls and I'm asking people, what do you consider a lead? Or they say somebody who's raised their hand, somebody who wants to sell. That is true. They got to want to sell. That's only one part of it. And as far as real estate investing made easy, especially with our day-to-day talking to sellers in Lazarus Property Group as an acquisitions manager and as a junior closer, they do need to have the motivation to sell. Pain in that motivation is always a plus. It's got to be within a reasonable amount of time, usually in the next 90 days. They have to have a reasonable expectation of value. Okay, they're not buying a $300,000 house for $1 million. So that's what a lead is.
Yeah, fair enough. And of course, to get that lead into your CRM, which is what we're going to talk about next, and then to do nothing with it, or to have a clunky CRM that doesn't serve you and isn't easy to follow up with your leads, means that you have absolutely wasted all of the time, effort, energy, and money and resources and your life getting that lead. Because they're going to go sell their house. Okay. But they're not going to sell it to you because
Right.
we all know, and we've heard it, the fortune is in the follow-up. Okay. But if
100%.
your follow-up system is a post-it note where you write down follow up 123 Main Street, then you're not alone. Okay.
Hurts. And it hurts me to hear that though.
Yeah. Or if it's a whiteboard, hey, I've done that before.
Oh yeah.
But I'll tell you, most real estate investors don't have follow-up systems, and those who do don't follow up properly. Okay. And that's not scalable, obviously, right? They would need to spend a lot of time and money investing in their CRM, like the client that I had mentioned who did that same thing with their clunky CRM, Podio. But I won't point my
Right.
fingers. So at the end of the day, we discovered Forefront CRM. Okay. And Forefront CRM is, I'll share my screen here with you. What we really appreciate about Forefront CRM is, visually the workflow, how you can automate your follow-up systems. And this is just a snapshot of it. Short of going in our own CRM and showing you all of our leads, I'll just share what they have here and expose you to it. You can track all your communications. They have API integrations as well that makes it easier to scale as well. Customizable lead stages. You'll see on the screen, it says needs analysis, appointment set, negotiating. We don't use those. In fact, we do have an affiliate link again to this, and we provide you with everything the way that we do it, our back end, that will get you the best results that we have proven and our clients have proven to be the best results in follow-up, including our perpetual automated follow-up sequences. And when a lead comes in, they automatically get a text message that, kind of connects the dots between whether it was the cold caller or whether it was the text, communication, or whether it was something that they saw on Facebook, that when they get dropped into our CRM, it automatically connects those dots for us, leveraging technology. And not only that, there's a great phone system now that exists inside of here where you can actually hear and track. You'll be able to record all of the calls that you make. And it has literally taken our business before we started using this and skyrocketed our closings over 75%. And it's not even an exaggeration. We track KPIs very closely. It gave us the ability to say goodbye to Podio and other clunky softwares. And it gives you a 35,000 foot view of your real estate investing business at a glance for the fraction of the cost of others. And they also have integrated that phone system that I mentioned that it blows CallRail out of the water. Now, I don't want to say anything against CallRail. I mean, I used them for so many years and they worked and they were great as far as a phone service, but I always got a bill I didn't know that was different than the last month. Why it's so much higher. And there was never any clarity on that. And I couldn't scale using CallRail, but Forefront and their phone system is integrated completely. Yeah. So really, I think what they've done is they've made it easy, right, to scale.
Oh yeah.
And that's the whole point. So as far as Forefront, I know Brad has a lot to say about Forefront, and you can feel free to go in as much depth as you want, but I'll tell all of you first, we have a lot of training on Forefront, how to do it the way that we use our platform, Forefront, to get results and get closed deals and manage transactions, all the way until whether it's a rehab that we're doing, or whether it's a wholesale, or whether it is an ovation or something creative, which, would be subject to seller financing, whether it's a mobile home, any crazy thing you could think of. We have a path for it, and we're able to separate it and see things individually inside of Forefront. So we give that to you by and large when you use our affiliate link to sign up. So that's why I would recommend doing that. If this appeals to you, if this resonates with you, and it's like, yeah, you know what? My CRM is ClickUp. I wouldn't recommend using ClickUp for this, or Monday.com, or any of the other CRMs that actually, yes, we've tried navigating away from one we used to use that we don't really like. So yeah, go ahead, walk them through whatever you think is going to be valuable, because he uses this every single day, and I use it probably 3 or 4 times a week now.
Every waking moment of my adult life, I am on Forefront, guys. No,
That's
but
funny.
before I get into that, I want to tell you a story. I was just on a consultation call. We actually, this individual actually got signed up for what we call our business management accelerator package. He already had used launch control, figured out, that he is not an integrator personality type. He needed our build out. And so what we did was we actually got him set up for launch control and for forefront. We cloned both of those services. We have that package. If you guys are interested in hearing more about that and how that can help your business, please schedule some time with me. That's called our business management accelerator package. But guys, this guy, I love this guy to death. He's a great guy. He told me the funniest and also one of the saddest stories while we were on this call. He was, before we got him set up, he was using, guess what he was using for his CRM, Christian?
Excel.
Not even that good. He was using a
Post-its.
business. He was using a notebook or a Post-it or some type of filing,
Right.
paper filing system. Yeah, and he had a guy call him, okay, back after a couple months, and the guy was like, "Hey, I'm ready to sell." And the guy, my guy that I was talking to was like, "Oh, you know what? Okay, great. What's your name? Blah blah blah." He tells him his name. He can't find the paper with his notes. None of the stuff that he had on this guy, he was able to recall. And so the guy was like, "You know what? Screw you, man. You can't remember talking with me. We had a bunch of conversations. I don't want to sell my house to you anymore." And hung up. The guy lost a deal because he
Oh no.
didn't have a way to track the information. So it is so crucial, guys, to have a CRM. Hey, you know what? You don't want to go with Forefront. I think you're dumb, but no. Forefront is great. Okay, it's one of the most cost-effective CRMs out there. I've been in sales a very long time, and I've used plenty of different CRMs. Chris and Christian have used even more. And honestly, Forefront has such a great layout with the ability to create different buckets for not only stages of leads, but also your pipeline, right? I guess that's the best way to say it. It's for your pipeline. So, and before I get too far along, guys, tell us, put in the comments your funniest or saddest story about follow-up or about not having a CRM. If you guys have any stories like the one I just said, we'd love to hear them. And we want to laugh at your expense. So, tell us, please. But so Forefront does a lot of different things. Most CRMs, if you as a CRM, right, can't store information and track tasks, then you're not worth really your salt. And Forefront does that great. One thing that it does that Christian mentioned earlier, that sets it apart from really any of the other CRMs, is the perpetual automation. Forever, ever. All right.
Yeah.
There are leads that I haven't touched in our CRM for probably the last year that are continuing to be touched either by a text or by a task for me to reach out at some point. Whatever you decide, you can set this logic, this flow however you want. How we have designed it is that it will bounce around until this person has either sold their house or tells us to stop. And we've had deals come through the CRM that have been in there for 2 years plus. And you can see that entire conversation, from 2 years ago being texted, "Hey, you ready to sell? You ready to sell?" And they're, that all they see is somebody texting them, keeping up with them. So fortunate is in the follow-up. It's crucial that you have it. It is an amazing CRM where it has everything viewable in the contact record. Call recordings, texts, notes, emails, Google Drive folders that can store what we use is any extra documents, mortgage statements, pictures, our deal analyzers. Everything is attached to the record in a Google Drive folder. It's linked to your Gmail, so the appointments that are in the CRM are also found in your Google Calendar. And I run my life off of my Google Calendar, so everything is seamless. It's so quick, guys. It's just, it's incredible. And without it, we would not be able to run as efficiently as we do. You will not be able to scale without having a CRM like this. And honestly, you'll lose out on deals like this guy did.
That's the worst and saddest story about, related to business and real estate investing that I've heard in a while, man.
Yeah. I mean, it hurt, it really hurt my heart to hear that, but it was good because honestly, he knew like, hey, we need to get something done. And, I had suggested our build out, our CRM, and it was really a quick decision. He knew what he needed and knew what he was doing wasn't working. And, he is set and ready to go. One update, guys, that we have because we're using Forefront and Launch Control, and you can do a couple. There are a couple different ways. If you're going to be doing your own marketing, if you're going to be doing the texting and then bringing those leads over to Forefront, and historically we've used web forms to get that information over, to get the conversation over into our CRM. Very recently, though, Launch Control and Forefront have teamed up and created an API integration that works extremely well. It brings over the entire conversation, all the lead information at the push of a button. If you're using Launch Control already, you'll know there's a push to CRM button. That button it's amazing. It pushes it over straight from Launch Control into Forefront like that, and you've got all the information over to Launch Control. So when you have a prospect that's turned into a lead and you want to bring it over to CRM, it's literally a click of a button.
Yeah, that used to only go to Podio, which was kind of sad and annoying.
Yeah.
But
Now it's
teamed up.
That's right. They've used it. It's great. The guy I was just telling you about, we set him up, and that was one of the things that he really wanted to see was that integration, and it works really well.
Oh, he did the business management accelerator package?
He did, yeah. We got him
Nice.
set up.
Awesome. So these are the tools, but there's more, because even though these are the 5 tools that you want to start with, actually we went over 4, there's one more tool, and then we'll get into real strategies that are proven to close more deals, right? And once you know how to find deals in general, right, and you have the right data source, and that is PropertyRadar, and then you skip it correctly with the best skip tracer, and then you use the highest ROI, quickest form of marketing to either qualify or disqualify leads from prospects. And then once you have your Forefront CRM set up so that you can take those leads to the finish line and not be like this gentleman who's a client of ours now that prior to becoming a client, unfortunately lost that deal because he didn't have this. We really need to talk about one more tool that we utilize that we love. Now, everything that we've talked about right now has been for off-market deals. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention on-market properties, because 80% of all homes for sale are listed on the MLS. What is your piece of that pie as a real estate investor, right?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of real estate agents obviously are, doing okay, but do you know that the top 2% do 80% to 90% of all the transactions? It's true. So other than the aligning yourself with a real estate agent as an investor to get on market properties, or becoming a real estate agent yourself in your local area so that you can gain access to the MLS, or gaining assistant access to the MLS in some areas, there's one strategy that you can implement that we've discovered that people that we're working with and ourselves like us, they're doing this at such a high level. One in particular in Colorado is doing $100,000 a month just in this niche of online properties, on the market properties, using this tool. In fact, we are actually going to be giving 5 deals away utilizing this live upcoming December 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern. So mark your calendar for that. If you're watching this late, by the way,
I'm doing it right now.
Description here. It'll also be linked in the description of that video. And although you won't be able to get the 5 deals because we would have already given them away, we're literally even better than that. And it's true. What's better than getting 5 deals? Well, if you give a man a fish or someone a fish, they'll eat for a day. But if you teach someone to fish, then they're going to be able to eat for a lifetime. We're going to show you how we, in 1 hour, less than 1 hour, can source a minimum, and this is what we do, of 5 deals that are hot deals that you can call and close on, and we're going to give them away to you so that you can lock them up. So be there or
What?
go check out the replay.
You're going to give away deals to everyone? We're not going to close them?
No, because
Wow.
we spend 1 hour doing it, we can get 5 more.
All right. That's true.
We
That's
do.
true. All right. I agree. All right. That's fine.
Yeah, in the
You
beginning,
guys are,
Dan was
yeah.
doing 100 offers a day doing this, using this system. We're with the tool, and we're about to share with you right now for on-market properties. So
Yeah. Wow.
it's pretty big, and I'll let you talk about it a little bit more. And then
Sure.
I'm going to jump into some of those bonus strategies about really how you can outsource and grow your real estate investing business by understanding what true entrepreneurialism is, and some resources and tools that we have already implemented and that we're teaching and training our clients to implement to really scale their business. So that by the end of next year, you'll be the ones doing live videos talking about how you did what we talked about, and you can be the expert yourself. But go ahead. What are we talking about here? I'll share my screen and share it with you, but just to break the
We're
ice
talking
here.
about Privy. We're talking about Privy.
Whoa.
Privy.com, guys. Privy, one of the most valuable pieces of software that we use for on-market deals. This is a program that's going to get you the most data in one place than any other service or software that you can find out there. And they're constantly adding. I mean, me and Christian just met with one of their top developers, and he showed us some of the features that are coming down the pike that allow you to comp even at an even higher level. But essentially what Privy does really well is it actually, I guess for lack of a better term, it gives you access to the MLS without having access to the MLS. Because what they're doing is pulling their data from the MLS. But they don't just do that. They have a really, really cool way that they comp properties, find investment deals, whether or not they're fix and flips or rehabs or rentals, buy and holds. And you can search all that and filter through. It's going to find properties that are comparable or very close to properties that they have identified as investment properties, whether or not they were bought at a low price and their ARV was at 30% higher, held for a while to do construction, and then put back on the market at a higher price. It'll tell you, it will tell you if there were increases to the number of stories, the square footage, number of bed bath counts. If it'll have before and after pictures on a lot of those. And you can do all that on one record right there. You can find the property that you like and comp it within a couple of minutes. It's a really, really neat tool, and it gives you a lot of information to be able to make decisions on the fly.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And we're going to be diving really deep into this. Again, linked in the description below. You'll find, as soon as we turn this around, you'll find a link to that live, especially if you're watching this later. And on our channel, you can find the link to register for that upcoming event if it's before that you're watching this. But this is something that we use for comping for sure. And, it doesn't necessarily, for me, you can use anything to comp. Okay. But
Sure.
It's about the speed and efficiency, where you can look at truly a Zillow and Redfin. And if you're just getting started and you're like, well, this is another $97, right? Then I get it, right? You got a budget. We talked about budgeting a little bit earlier and making sure you can consistently maintain that budget for 3 months minimum for yourself, so that you can continue the marketing. Because marketing, no matter how good you are at it, it can be a really awesome experiment, but it's an experiment. It always will be. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let anyone ever tell you different, because you're throwing money out, right? Hoping for an ROI. But if you're not utilizing tools like these, you're just throwing money out. Okay.
Very true.
We do have a link in the description below to Privy, and we get you some bonuses with that as well. All of these, for the most part, we have that as a staple, because we want to take care of you. That's what we're educating everybody for, with the processes that we're using here at Real Estate Investing Made Easy.
Yeah, no, I don't want to make it sound like it's just a comping tool because it's not. I guess the most succinct way to say what Privy is it is a program that allows you to find and identify properties that will be deals based on properties that are in the area that have been identified as great investor deals on
Yeah.
market.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
So when you get to the point in your career and in your life, I'll just put myself on the screen. Hi. That you are ready to hire somebody and ready to scale. There's a few things I wanted to talk about. And it has to begin with just demystifying well, I'm the only one who can do it right mindset, which a lot of people have, even getting into real estate. So I would start with asking the question, why did you get into the real estate investing business? Right? The answers to this question are almost always one or two things or both. That is, to own my own time or to be financially free. Now, if those are your answers, then dig a little deeper to find your why and consider finishing each of those statements with so that. Okay. To own my own time so that, right? So that I can spend more time with my loved ones, to be financially free so that I can help other people who are in need. Or maybe it's just because you want to buy a Bugatti. But what your why is should be visited daily. Daily keep your why top of mind. When you focus on that, you might realize that your business is actually taking you further from your why rather than closer to it. So as Michael Gerber states in the E-Myth, if your business requires your presence, you don't have a business, you just have a job. And while working in your business, it's critical in building the foundation. If you don't plan to scale, you'll perpetually have a more than full-time job. Because I'll tell you, the path of entrepreneurialism, at least in real estate investing, and I've done other businesses as well, and it's true for those as well, is 50, 60, 70 hours a week. You're on a grind continually. So if you do have the mindset of like, hey, I don't, this is my baby, this is my business, this is my livelihood, this is my life, I don't want to give up control to this thing because it's too important. Yet you have to start shifting your mindset, because
so true.
The need to scale is obvious. You can't sustain that forever, perpetually. I mean, you might even be young. You might be, man, I'm 18, 19, 20, 21. Maybe I'm 25. I'm out of college. I started my own business. Yo, when you're 35 or you're 40, you're not going to be, especially if you started a family, you're not going to want to be working that long. Okay. So if this doesn't motivate you to put pen to paper and start planning to outsource, and it's possible that you're like many other investors who are stuck in this doubt loop that simply is not true. The doubt loop usually shows up in the form of, I don't have enough money to hire help. I don't trust anyone but me, as I mentioned. But in the next step that we're going to talk about, as far as scaling your business, you'll see that overcoming these limiting beliefs will actually help you get closer to your why, and you'll discover the right action to take instead of just spinning your wheels, because that's exactly what's going to happen if you don't consider. Remember, we talked about beginning with the end in mind. Okay. So you need to learn how to hire talented people, and how when you hire talented people, it actually doesn't have to be expensive. So I wanted to go through a few things that'll expose that. But one thing real quick, if you haven't heard of this book and you're in real estate, Michael Gerber does have the E-Myth, that is the E-Myth Revisited, which is an updated one that is just in general, but this one is for real estate investors. I even got it signed, okay, by the authors, but that's beside the point. Go get it. Go get it. Go on Amazon right now. Yeah, we have an affiliate link too, but it doesn't matter. Just go get the book. I don't care if you use it. Just go get it. Read it though. Don't let your self-help become shelf help. That's one way to just waste your time, and for sure spin your wheels. And one more book recommendation that I'd have to make is the EOS method with traction, utilizing traction. Okay. So go get that, and it's really going to help you visualize and plan, beginning with the end in mind. You're going to know what that end's going to look like. So just a little bit of an aside, obviously this is about scaling, so we can get into it. You want to know first, why scale? And it's because of your why. Understand that scaling means unlocking more time for you, and you can do more and enjoy more things. You'll even enjoy running your business, right? Without being stuck in the weeds every day. Simply put, your business can grow and your time investment can shrink, right? So instead of working 80 hours a week, you could be working 20 hours a week, and then you'll make more money actually, and you'll have more time. So as a real estate investor, we know that we make our money when we buy, right? And that buying right means that we have to hone in our analysis. And this should be mastered above everything else. So if you're a solopreneur, you might find it challenging to balance all that stuff, as I have before. And that comes before and after analysis. So let's look at the things that you need to consider outsourcing. Okay. So these are all the lists of things, and I've actually written them down. Okay. And you should write them down too. Identifying your markets, creating your niche avatar, curating targeted data, sift and stack prospects of data, skip, trace, and prospect data. You need to consider managing your campaigns and the campaign creation and outsourcing that portion. Now, one VA can handle all this, or some of them can. And by VA, I mean virtual assistant. But there's also the executing of the marketing campaigns. And that is maybe sending the text messages inside of launch control, or making the phone calls and cold calling, tracking and measuring your KPIs, KPI reporting, and then making those adjustments. You have to understand that if your head is in the weeds every single day, you're definitely not going to have the mental acuity or energy at that moment to make the adjustments, even if you are tracking your KPIs. Like Brad said, it's critical that you do, which we all know this. And even if you're not doing it, you're thinking, wow, that's a good idea, I should do that. Yes, you should. So of course, then there's the other part. Moving along, you got to qualify those prospects to leads, analyze those property leads. We're using, of course, to qualify those leads to see if they're good. We're using virtual assistants, and then we're using a system inside of our acquisitions to do that. And to comp, we mentioned we're using Privy, okay? And then doing your repairs and quick analysis, and having seller solutions. That's multiple solutions, right? You may recall earlier where I said we buy properties two ways. We either buy it all cash, that's one solution, but it's not a good fit for everybody. Or we'll buy on terms. Well, that's when we're buying the property. But what else, right? First, terms are subject to seller financing, other creative strategies, right? Even helping them get to a loan refi. If it might be a short sale situation, we can help with short sales too. So arm yourself with, and if you're writing this list down, as you write the list down, these are things to do more research about in the space of real estate investing, to at least put on the docket to either train on or find a solution for that isn't you permanently, unless you like doing these activities, at least in the beginning. But at some point, even if you like it, you're going to have to step away to scale, because it can't perpetually be you closing, providing those seller solutions. You also need to look at scaling, and this part, setting appointments and your follow-up system, your property walkthroughs, having another investor, especially if you're doing virtual wholesaling. You got to get somebody else boots on the ground to go do the property walkthrough, even if it's like an inspector that you build a relationship with, that you have an abbreviated inspection, right? It's not going to be a full inspection. You don't really need that anyway, especially if you're wholesaling it, because another investor in the area who you'll wholesale that property to, they're going to be doing that more in-depth analysis. They're going to be doing the repair analysis at a deeper level than you will, right? So then, of course, as you present your offers and your follow-ups, you're going to need a VA who can be trained on doing that too. And these are just some things to consider, right? Because you're going to have to balance all of these things in the beginning. Don't let it overwhelm you. Just make a note of it. Developing your relationships with title, escrow, and those inspectors that I mentioned. Managing new and nurturing old leads. We're using Forefront to do that, to manage that follow-up. In fact, we're using Forefront to do most of this stuff. The appointment setting, calling and presenting the offers. We send it over email. We do things virtually, even in the markets that we're geographically located in. And of course, following up and, the new data and getting the new data, and then repeating this process all the way back to identifying your market. And identifying your market, even if it's the same market that you're already in, that is, what's your new avatar? Because that same data set next month There's going to be a lot of repeats. And that's why it's important that you scrub for duplicates and you make sure. Oh, by the way, we didn't mention this, but Best Skip Tracer, it will check other lists that you upload very soon. They're rolling out Skippy 3.0. So if you're seeing this message a little bit later, maybe it's been up for a month, then what you'll notice if you go to Best Skip Tracer is Skippy 3.0, and no other skip tracing service does this. They will reference other lists to make sure that you didn't already pay to skip trace that other contact record in that other list, which is huge because it's going to save you a lot of money. We formerly used REI SIF to do this. We're not promoting that anymore because we're not using it anymore, because Best Skip Tracer is doing that. But that's all just to say, we mentioned earlier that it's important that you think of yourself more as being in the business of marketing your real estate business than actually in the real estate business. And while this is certainly true, to scale properly, this can become unsustainable in the long run if you're doing everything that I just mentioned, right? So you're a real estate expert, so be one. Don't be a marketing guru, right? You shouldn't have to do all of this stuff. And this is one of the reasons why we fulfill marketing for other investors across the country. But this isn't a pitch or a call to that. I just wanted you to know that if you're thinking about outsourcing marketing and it's not to us, there are other ways to do it, right? And pay close attention because many investors incorrectly diagnose their own business needs, all right? They hire an acquisitions person first so that they can focus on marketing, but that's backwards, okay? And whether it's us, obviously, you could figure out, hey, what is our situation? What is Real Estate Investing Made Easy's marketing? What can they do for my business? But stick with me because I'm going to share with you how we did it for our own business, that so that you can do that too. You can hire your own people, train your own people, and all that, okay? So proper opportunity analysis is critical to the success, growth, and scale of your real estate investing business. And this is because your analysis dictates your buying decisions, which directly determines your profitability to scale. For some, it determines how long they can actually just keep the doors open. So depending on where you're at in your growth journey, whether you're just getting started or, like I said at the beginning, this is valuable for investors who are looking to scale a little bit. Outsourcing your acquisitions may not actually be the answer, especially because it comes at a steep cost of profit splits, commissions, and that just takes a lot of money out of your pocket. And I know it might sound counterintuitively, but it can actually stifle the business, hiring somebody to take over your acquisitions. So the question then becomes, how do I automate my marketing to generate highly qualified, motivated seller leads? Okay, we know the tools to use, but how do I automate that? So there's two proven options to generate motivated seller leads. You can model our system and identify, vet, train, and manage an in-house team, which I'm going to share with you what we do right now. Or number two, you can hire a done-for-you marketing expert like us with systems in place to generate these leads for you. So we're going to get to the option one, modeling our hiring system so that you can do it. But I want Brad to speak to a little bit of what we're doing, the cut to the front of the line, easy button REI marketing that we offer, and why a lot of investors, like the one that joined yesterday, the one that joined a couple of days ago, and last week, why they choose to work with us.
Well, I think it comes down to what's the value of your time. And an investor, as a business owner, how much is your time worth? What am I doing on a day-to-day basis? Am I prospecting and just beating my head against the wall, talking to people that are telling me F off constantly, which number one is not a high value activity for you as a business owner. And, number two is probably just killing your morale. I mean, at the end of the day, how many FUs can you take in a day? Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, people that are coming over to our marketing, this is the avatar that looks like. If you have had a couple deals, have been successful enough to a point where you're now at a point where, look, you've done a couple deals. I need to increase this deal volume. It's either me and one other person or just myself. And I can't increase the amount of deals that I'm doing without taking one or the other, either the acquisitions and closing or the marketing out of my own hands, because I can't do both. You're either going to be, there's an equilibrium that's hit in a business where you're either talking with people and building a pipeline and getting to a point where then you're closing. And so now you're closing and working on taking these deals to the finish line and not able to fill the pipeline anymore. So then you're back to filling the pipeline and not closing. And it's this flip-flop effect where you're never consistent, right? And if that's you, then for you, marketing might be the ticket to consistency. And so that's basically where we come in and take everything from data to deal out of your hands. The only thing you have to worry about is talking to motivated sellers, people who are leads. Remember we talked about what a lead was earlier?
Yeah.
Somebody who's ready to sell either now or in the near future and has a reasonable expectation of value. We pull the list for them. We skip trace that list for them. Make sure that's not duplicated skips and where they're paying for those. We text them and nurture them to a point where they're ready to sell. And then we hand that off to you in a warm handoff into your CRM. Then it's up to you to close them, whatever way that is and whatever exit strategy you do. And people that are coming over want that because they understand that their time is worth more than the small financial investment into the marketing. It's that simple.
Yeah, well said. And you can learn more about it linked in the description. If you're ready to just get on the phone with us, get on a Zoom and hang out with us, hang out with Brad and talk about this more and see if we're a good fit. You know, we share, we're an open book, and if we're a good fit to work together, we will. But now that we've shared all of these tools, that is our system. Ultimately, I'll share with you an overview of how we built a stellar team that continues to generate leads in this system. And I'll start by saying this: if you hire right, you hire once. Okay. And hiring right, it depends on what role you hire for. It's not just a task. Okay. You need to know how to hire and perform that role first, how long performing that function takes, and how accurately to identify the right compensation for that role. You also want to know how to properly market for the opportunity to attract the right candidates, so that in order to properly advertise your job opportunity, you'll also need to create a stellar job description that's enticing, to the point, and that the information is clear. So I'll give you the steps, right, as an overview. These are the steps that you'll need to take to create a compelling job post. Okay. First, determine your exact job responsibilities, and I'll just bulleted list these off here. Know the acceptable pay range, know how long each task takes in the role, create SOPs and training resources, use, all these tools for easy training creations that, we've talked about, and we'll talk about. Descript is one you can link in the description below. Check that out. It's really awesome. It's basically, the free version of it is a paid version of Loom, if you've ever heard of that, but that'll help, really create those trainings. And then set a clear path for position growth from the very beginning, define the benchmarks for raises, create incentives and a reward system, identify the right pool of talent first, okay? Because you need to make sure that you're not just sending a wide blanket out there, and I'll share with you what we use to do this. Research your other competitors' job ads too, because that really helps. And then research and define your own company culture. Like what do you want to take away? You know, make sure that you share that as a vision for your company with the people applying for a role that you're advertising, and then distinguish your value proposition. Okay. Now, this by no means is an exhaustive list, but there's a couple resources that I said I'd share. Descript is one, and then onlinejobs.ph. There is a link in the description below where you'll get more detail. If you use this, you'll get our whole hiring system. This is just an overview of it. But as far as once you've posted the right job ad on onlinejobs.ph, there's really simple 5 simple steps, and then we'll wrap up to cover. And that is: number 1, identify your candidates; number 2, vet your selected prospects; and then while you're vetting them, kind of throw in a curveball. Say like, hey, initially I was looking for this, this, and this, but I'm also considering adding this to the job description, just to see how they react. And you want to also throw in a carrot in the job post, kind of like a little Easter egg, if you will. So you're asking them to do a specific thing. Don't reply to this on the actual post. And I'll share an example of this with you actually, as I log into my own, share this with you to what I'm talking about. So if I go to account and I go to job posts, let's go here to a real estate phone acquisitions, all the way down here, somewhere in here. Remember, I said it's an Easter egg to make sure that they read the entire thing. I also say, if you do not follow these simple instructions, your application will be rejected. I ask them to please compose a separate email to team it, make sure the email comes from your own email account, independent from onlinejobs.ph. Please also make the subject line of the email exactly what follows REI phone sales application. And in so many words, you could do the exact same thing. That is to make sure that they actually read it, because a lot of them don't. All right. But you'll distill it down to the right prospects, and you'll know. And by the way, if you do use our link, we'll also share the training with you to automate most of this process too, actually. So when you do get an email, it'll automatically send another email to them, even if it's Gmail. And then you'll let them know, hey, we're getting a lot of applicants right now. Thanks for your patience. While you wait for our direct response, please reply with these specific things. What is your pay? Is it okay if you work on our time zone? And, just a couple other details, whether it's a full-time or whether it's a part-time, and ask them, if they're okay with this type of work. So then you pick them, right? Distill them down. Don't interview everybody. Your top picks are people who you're actually going to interview. And when you interview them, get to know them personally first. We always set up 2 to 3 interviews. The first one, we try to get to know them depending on the role. If it's not a skills-based role where it's like, we absolutely have to know how to do video production, obviously, it doesn't matter if we love them and they're the coolest person on the face of the planet. If they don't know video editing, they can't have the job. But if it's a role like having a conversation with somebody on a phone, we want to know if they're a pleasant person. We want to know their dreams and goals and what they want to get to. And that's when we, as I mentioned earlier, talk about the opportunity to grow in our company, because we want them. And I tell them this: interview us as we interview you. We want you to work with us, but we want to make sure that you want to work with us. The same as we want to make sure that we know that we want you to work with us. Okay. And then eventually from those 3 to 4, maybe 5, I wouldn't go too higher than that as far as how many people you interview. Kick them to a second interview, choose 3 of them for a second interview, and then pick your top candidates, depending on how many people you need to hire. And then, of course, train your hires with all of the other things I had mentioned, right? And it was a long list. It wasn't an exhaustive list, but I shot them out there on rapid fire. And then when you train them, guess what you're doing? You're sending them the videos that you already created. Those are the SOPs. That's why you want to prep before you start this hiring process. And then, of course, managing your team. Here's the last thing I'll mention before we go. And that is, this is a little bit counterintuitive. A lot of people don't do this, but I do this. I do my best to hire who I think will be the manager of that team in the long run. I want to hire the manager so that I can rely on them as they grow, and I can very, very happily give them raises and give them more responsibility with those raises as we continue to scale the team. And they will be the ones doing one-on-one training with the rest of the team, not me. Okay. So those are the tips and tricks that I have for scaling. There are a lot more. We're going to have more content linked in the description below. If you want to know more about our system, click that link in the description below, called Hiring Right, or it might be called Hire Right, Hire Once. And then there's a link there where you can learn more about our system so that you can model our system specifically for hiring virtual assistants in the real estate investing field. And then, of course, if you're like, I don't want any of that, because that was a long list of stuff, check out the strategy session linked below, where we can talk about what it looks like to work together. Where we all generate 30 plus motivated seller leads at the lowest cost per lead that are done for you marketing clients have ever seen. But that's about it, guys.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
that was a lot, Christian. That was great.
I know. I was trying to fit it in, it's an investor's guide who's a beginner to leveraging technology to achieve success in real estate. So there's 100%. Definitely a lot more to it that we couldn't cover in, hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah. So I hope this guy's blessed you. I hope it blesses your business. You guys have a fantastic season, and we'll talk to you soon.
Last point, guys. Whatever you guys was the top hint or piece of information, whatever you guys found was the most valuable, or whatever you guys want to hear about in the future, please put in the comments below. We want to hear back from you so that we can build more content around what our audience actually wants to hear and wants to learn about. So put that down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys.
100%. Thanks for that, Brad. All right, you guys, take care. We'll see you on the next one.